Welcome to X's and Omar, the Halloween edition. I am Omar Kelly, the long-suffering Dolphins fan who gets beaten up every Sunday no matter where I go. I went to Buffalo and got the snot kicked out of me. And you are Dave Hyde, the pirate?
I'm just a classic Halloween pirate. You know, I think you win on merit for being relevant to the show. You're even wearing a 13, a Merino jersey, because all those other jerseys, it's like, which one you're waiting.
I would never. And in fact, people ask me all the time as Dolphin fans, what jersey should I get? It's like the number one question that I get asked. And I say, don't buy anything that's not going to be a classic. Like the last jersey I would recommend is a Cam Wake jersey. And I still wouldn't recommend the jersey. If you bought your Tua jersey, I'm sure you're not feeling too good about it right now. We are suffering a loss, Dolphin fans. This season, which was full of expectation and promise, is officially dead. It is dead, folks. Time of death was last Sunday during Miami's fourth quarter 30-28 loss to the Atlanta Falcons, which kicked a field goal as time expired to deliver the Dolphins' sixth straight loss. 6, Dave, 6.
And it could have been 7 very easily, right?
Very easily. Now we are in a mourning season. By my count, we've officially hit the third stage of grief, Dave. Denial and isolation took place during the first month of the season as Miami got dominated by the Buffalo Bills and lost in overtime to the Raiders. We thought those were better teams. So, we were in denial. Anger began to set in, Dave, with the loss to the winless Indianapolis Colts, who Dolphins helped get on the right footing. And then the loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars, Dave. That was pretty bad in London. So Miami is now officially in contention for the worst team in the league. Now we are officially in the bargaining stages of grief, Dave, as this franchise decides whether to ride it out with Tua Tagovailoa or mortgage the future for Deshaun Watson. We got a week, officially 6 days to make this decision. We've discussed all of those things later on in the show, Dave. But right now, we need to know from Dave Hyde, the Pirate, how much this 6-game losing streak has changed everything you thought about Brian Flores and Chris Greer.
It's changed everything, right? I mean, certainly the front office, all their moves. You look at right down, and I feel like every day I'm writing a different column, like of what are they thinking, And we've talked about the 2020 draft. We've talked about the mismanagement of free agent money, but even this past draft where Jalen Waddle's a nice player. He's a good player, all right? So he had 6 catches, 6 first downs Sunday. You have to like Jalen Waddle, but even that draft is coming up short when you look at the options. They could have had. Look at the other sideline on Sunday. There's Kyle Pitts. He looks dominant. And in Cincinnati, Jamar Chase, he looks dominant. And then they traded as well their top pick in the draft, which is right now. It can't stay there, Omar. It can't stay at number 2, right? It cannot stay at number, but it's there right now. And they traded that, and they got it's like everywhere you look, there's a brush fire going on.
It might go to number 1 because if you ask me, I think the Detroit Lions probably would beat the Miami Dolphins at this present stage. Let's get right into it, Dave. Our first question comes from Alex. You always say Flores is a leader of men, and I assume he's talking about me. I always say Flores is a leader of men, but then you say he's not a likable dude. I also say that. How can you be a leader of men but not a likable dude?
Very easily in sports and in business, in anywhere. If that's your personality, look at the best coach right now in the NFL, or over the last 20 years, Bill Belichick. He's not liked by his players. There's a difference between like and respect. Between like and you know what players want? They want answers. They want, here's how we're going to be better. I got a question in a meeting. What happens when they do this? And the coach has the right answer on the field. Oh, yeah. Did you see what we did there? That's what players want. And you can get a like, dislike, and that's really irrelevant on some level.
I do believe that Flores is a leader of men. Is he a likable leader of men? No. There are issues regards to players feel like they cannot talk to him, they cannot communicate with him. He doesn't necessarily listen, and his staff feels the same way as well. That's part of the reason why he has struggled to hire a good quality staff. This has been, or retain a good quality staff. This has been an issue, but it's not uncommon for coaches. What solves it all is success, winning. He was a brilliant genius coach of the year candidate in 2020. Now he's a bumbling idiot. And both can be true. Both can be true, Dave. And
well, the question is, to the question, he hasn't changed, I'm sure. I mean, it's the same guy. So
I, in fact, think he's changed a little bit more favorably. He's trying to be more approachable. He's trying to be more relatable. Now that the nation has gotten out that, hey, I'm kind of a difficult human being, maybe I have to be less of a difficult human being. There's effort being put towards that. There's effort being put towards listening and communicating with his players. You know, right now, I don't think it's too late. But I think that, you know, people are kind of looking at him with the side eye like, you are who you are, and why change it up now? And I think young coaches, they need to grow, and they need to show growth. And to me, this is a sign of growth from him. Now, the question is it going to be consistent, or will he remain arrogant when he starts winning again, if he ever starts winning again? And I do believe if you really look at this team and how they've played the last 2 weeks, it's not only just coincided with the return of Tua. They've stopped the run the last 2 weeks. They've run the football last week. They, they're committing less penalties. They're converting more on third downs. They're being better defensively on third downs. But it hasn't resulted in wins. But I said probably a month ago, these are your 10 issues as a team, and we need to watch how they address a lot of those issues within the next month. And I think that they've kind of solved at least 4 of them.
All right, Omar. Flaunt the Gift wants to know the Dolphins are 1-6 and have not played, in my opinion, to their potential, but 3 of the losses were by 3 points or less. What's your take on that?
It's tough to win in the NFL. That is a very glaring and obvious thing that we've seen and learned as Dolphin fans for the last 2 decades. I remember Cameron Wake used to tell me, that 3 plays basically determine the outcome of a game. And you never know what those 3 plays will be. It could be a penalty. It could be a blocked field goal. It could be an interception. Could be a second interception. And to me, I've always looked at the game from that standpoint because of what Wake has said to me. And I do agree that was when they were losing, as they lost most of Cam Wake's career. I'm not even sure he has a winning season. And if you look at the field goal, you take the field goal away and Jason Sanders kicks that field goal. You take one of those interceptions away and Miami just puts up points. Dolphins generally probably would have won that game. And I'm not putting the blame on Tua. That's something we'll address. I think he's played relatively good, with the exception of those 3 now bonehead interceptions. Like, what are you doing? And but all young players have those plays. And I remember listening to Flores, and I've listened to him over and over and over and over and over again. And he talks about the mistakes we made. If we clean up our game and don't make those mistakes, we'll win a game. So basically, if you play a perfect game, you'll win a game. I remember watching the Green Bay Packers this week. And mistake. Somehow they have the talent to overcome all those mistakes. And that, to me, is what's missing. You can make mistakes in the NFL, but if you have the talent to overcome them, c'est la vie. It doesn't matter. And this team is very short on talent. I don't think there are a dozen players that the rest of the league would want to add to their team of starters. And to me, that's a problem, and that's a front office problem.
All right, to the question, 3 of the losses were by 3 points or less. And, okay, it's hard to win in this league. We keep hearing that. Half the teams do win in the league, though, every Sunday. Half the teams win, right? And half lose. So how hard is it, okay? And we just hear that in the Dolphin locker room for the last 20 years a lot, okay? That's the tight games is how the league is set up.
Yep.
Every week. I mean, you look at I went back to 1-15 Dolphins. 5 points, 5 games were decided by 3 points or less. Okay. That's how you have bad seasons. You lose the really close games. Okay. So, the Detroit right now has lost 2 games by 2 points. They have 5 of their losses, 7 losses by 10 points or less. That's just the nature of the NFL, really. The margin of talent, even from good to bad, from one Sunday to the next, isn't all that pronounced.
You know what? And the close losses don't bother me. The close losses do not bother me. And I want to put this on X's and Omar. It's the blowout losses. It's the loss to the Buffalo Bills. It's the loss to Tampa Bay. Those are what shows me you're not even close to where you need to be. We will see a matchup on Sunday against probably the cream of the crop in the AFC East and the cream of the crop in the AFC. And I expect a blowout because you're not even in their neighborhood.
Yeah, I remember talking to Pat Riley once, and he said almost just that about, he goes, you're going to lose games. You're going to lose games this league, close games, tight games. I'm okay with that. That's part of competition. He goes, but when you get blown out and then repetitively it happens again, you got problems. That's telling you got problems. You better fix them. Close losses, that's just competition. So,
Ted wants to know, name 3 players that you think have improved from last season. Also, the run defense gets tightened up the same weeks Raekwon Davis comes back. Should most of the praise be given to him? Let me start out with this question, Dave. If we're looking for 3 players that have improved, I would say Raekwon Davis has improved. Clearly, he has been a huge asset helping them stop the run. We expected him to be that player. They have tightened on the run defense and limited opponents to fewer than 100 rushing yards. And Jacksonville was a run-first team, so that let's not try to take away praise. And the game was close, and you didn't have to force them into a passing. They just said, okay, we can't run against Miami. Let's do something else. That's a starting point for this defense, and there needs to be a couple more. Mike Gesicki has improved. Mike Gesicki is playing at a relatively high level, a franchise tag level, which is what I think the team will have to use to try to retain them if that's what they want to do. I don't believe that they're going to sign him to an extension before the season's over. And if I'm Mike Gesicki, since you didn't want to sign me during the season, I'm going to not let you sign me. I'm going to carry this thing out unless I suffer an injury. And then Mac Hollins. I don't know why Mac Hollins isn't starting for this team right now. And Mac Hollins plays with the intensity, effort, passion that I see lacking from about 80% of this roster. While he might not be the most talented of receivers, he doesn't drop passes like some. He's always available, unlike most. And the effort is never lacking. He probably is running the right routes, which does not happen very often for the quarterback. There is a route running problem in terms of receivers not being where they want to be. And Tua is taking a lot of heat for that. But that's not all on him in terms of the interceptions that he throws. But, he will never throw anybody under the bus.
Yeah, Mac Hollins is on my list of top 3, too, because to your end, Preston Williams drops a pass, Mac Hollins comes in, and he makes a couple plays. He brings energy, and he brings health. He brings health to a position that doesn't have health, okay? The other ones, the Myles Gaskin. Now, when he's played, you saw it last year. When he's used properly, the question to me is, what are you asking him to do, and is it always to his strength? Okay, if you have a first down back, Myles Gaskin can split second down and be their third down back, and that's a great role for him. The third one would be Christian Wilkins. He's made a step forward, and then between the run defense being part of that, as you talked about, but also he's made some game-changing plays. Jacksonville comes to mind. So there are some positives amid the negatives. You just have to look a little for them, unfortunately, Omar, right? They're not always obvious.
You got to dig a little. You got to dig a little this season. Brandon Jones is also another guy that probably needs to be recognized. I'm not comfortable with all of the safety rotations. I think that's probably impacting the secondary's chemistry. But Brandon Jones has been a very impactful blitzer and pressure player in the box. So congrats to him.
Yeah, I almost said Javon Holland in that I don't think he's there yet, but you can see glimpses of why they like him.
They're full-fledged invested in him. Yeah. They believe that he's the future.
All right, we've been involved in an open relationship down here in South Florida as the Dolphins are clearly serious about Tua Tagovailoa, the Alabama standout. The team drafted 5th in the 2020 NFL draft, but Deshaun Watson continues to sneak into the Dolphins' DMs, and Miami's let it be known they have interest in getting with the 3-time Pro Bowler, who is viewed as an elite quarterback, minus his legal issues.
Huge minus, Dave.
Big minus. The Houston Texans have until Tuesday at 4 p.m., which is the NFL trade deadline, to move Watson to a team he'd be willing to accept a trade to because of his no trade clause, or everything gets pushed to the offseason, to the next offseason. Should Miami step out on Tua, Omar, who's completing 69.5% of his passes, thrown 7 touchdowns, 4 interceptions in 3 games, and owns a 95.1 passer rating? Should they step out to get Watson?
I am at the point where I believe that they should. And
before the trade deadline.
Before the trade deadline, because Watson clearly wants to be with you. He's not going to get rid of these legal issues. The NFL has already said we're going to allow him to play. We're not going to suspend him. Roger Goodell came out and said that yesterday. These legal issues have not hit persecution. It has not hit the court system. It's civil, which means it's money related. Who's to say that $10 million doesn't make this all go away? Not to say that it should be minimized or you should turn the other way, but he will return to the NFL. That's not opinion. That's a fact. He will pay his penance to society or to these women, and he will return to the NFL. Now, why shouldn't he return with the Dolphins, who clearly want to be with him? And he clearly wants to be with them. Why shouldn't the Dolphins be putting him in the Michael Vick Philadelphia Eagles situation where he begins to restart his career somewhere else? Even though I love Tua, I do love Tua. Please, doesn't mean I won't be critical of him. Doesn't mean I don't have durability concerns. Doesn't mean I don't have arm strength concerns. It is very clear to me that this general manager who selected him and this head coach who coached him, and I'm going to say something for the very first time, his own teammates, they don't love him. And they like him, but they don't love him. There is a disconnect there. Why there is a disconnect, I don't know. I don't really understand. But it could be because they have this beauty queen staring at them. And, sexy Deshaun Watson wants to be with you. It's hard to find value and love and appreciate the high school sweetheart that you're with. And if I'm Tua, I'm done with this organization too. I don't want to be with you. If you don't want to be with me, I don't want to be with you. I value myself more than to put up with your consistent disrespect. And understand that I think the Dolphins are doing the right thing. Brian Flores has proven from day one he is a cold, calculated individual and doesn't care about anything but the franchise. and benefiting the franchise. And truthfully speaking, he's on the hot seat now, as is Greer, and rightfully so. They both should be on the hot seat because this is a hot mess. It is a hot mess. So if I feel that Deshaun Watson saves me, go for it.
Well, here's what I say, Omar. Don't do it now. Push it into the offseason. And I'll tell you from if you want a moral, if there are morals in NFL, in the pro sports, a legal standpoint, you know what you're getting, but also a strategic standpoint, it would be smart for the Dolphins as an organization, football-wise, to push it into the offseason. He's not going to help you this season to climb out. What are you going to climb to 500 maybe? I mean, best case scenario, where are you going to go? Okay, but think about this. Carolina pulled out. They said they're not interested. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Three parties have to agree to a trade. We all know the Texans, Deshaun Watson, and a team. And so far as we know, the Dolphins are the only team he's agreed to. Houston, with each passing day after the deadline, it gets hot to keep holding them. And I'll tell you what, next year, he's going to make $40 million. What's the difference in trading for him now? He's not going to help you this season. Why not trade March, April, whenever they agree to whatever your demands are? Because the pressure will ratchet up on Houston as we move through the offseason. They do not want to have to pay him $40 million to sit on the bench.
You're correct. And I think it benefits you, which is part of the reason why I think we haven't seen the Dolphins put a kibosh on this Deshaun Watson. He wants to be with you. He's already turned down the Eagles.
Well, I agree. I agree with you, Omar. It's like they're showcasing Tua at this point. Okay, they have told him without telling him, you're not our quarterback anymore. It's a really uncomfortable. I feel for him. A year ago, you were the guy.
Hey,
and now for whatever reason,
this is a cool business, Dave.
Well, you're allowed to question, do the Dolphins know what they're looking at? Considering they didn't know what they looked at with Josh Allen, with Lamar Jackson, with Justin Herbert, and now do they know with Tua? I have no idea. I have no idea. All I know is you read this situation, and the Dolphins are telling you he's not the guy anymore. The fact that they have allowed this Watson thing to go on and on and on and on. If I'm Steve Ross, at some point you would say, when this legal stuff clears up, we'll revisit this whole situation. Okay? Now, you might
have more competition for it, Dave, and that's my biggest issue.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. But, I'm not comfortable trading for that. You don't know what's going to happen. So I would push it into the offseason. Let Tua play out the year. Maybe these past 2 games becomes the next 8 games, and you say, we misread him after last offseason too. So why? And the Watson trade gets better for you as long as Watson wants to come here, which to me is the most mystifying thing in all this.
Yeah, let's get to Jesse, who has our next question. Is Tua the most scrutinized QB in Dolphins history because of Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, Deshaun Watson, or is it because of the impatience of the modern era NFL fan?
Well, I would answer that by starting, let's put this in context. The Dolphins tanked. They got rid of everybody. They're good players. And the whole mission statement of that was, we're going to get a franchise quarterback. So whether it was Tua, whether they found somebody else, whoever that guy was going to be the most scrutinized guy. Now you add Tua onto it. Look, if Justin Herbert, I was all set on draft night. I remember thinking, if they drafted Justin Herbert, I was going to say this was a bold draft pick because there was such a popular. Tua was so popular, okay? But there were a lot of people in the NFL saying he's not the best quarterback.
Not a lot, but some.
There was enough that it wasn't like a lone voice in the wilderness saying. But anyways, yes. I would say Tua, Tannehill had a lot of pressure on him. Okay. Jay Fiedler replacing Dan Marino had a lot of pressure on him. Because of the context Tua came into, he has more pressure than I think any of them.
I think that if it wasn't for Deshaun Watson consistently trying to steal his team, and that to me is a little bit of an uncomfortable situation, but if it wasn't for Deshaun Watson consistently trying to steal his team, Tua would be viewed as one of the young, promising quarterbacks in the NFL right now. 7-6 record heading into this week's game against Buffalo, completing a shade under 70% of his passes in the 3 starts that he's had. Seven touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 95.1 quarterback rating, which back in the day used to be impressive. Right now, it makes him the 18th best quarterback in the NFL right now. Lo and behold, everybody's throwing 100 quarterback rating because it's become such a passing league. But he has a higher quarterback rating than Patrick Mahomes right now. He's right under Lamar Jackson. Now, they win. Tell me, in the last 2 weeks, did Tua contribute to what could have been a win, or did he hold the team back? I would say he contributed.
Well, certainly last week he did. He rallied them back 2 fourth-quarter drives, touchdown drives, put them ahead. The question is, what's the ceiling for Tua? I guess we're still at that.
Exactly.
And we're talking durability. We're talking ceiling. Okay, those are the 2 issues. Okay,
and I think that's where we get into this Deshaun Watson debate. We already know Deshaun Watson is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Tua, will he ever get there? And there's a possibility he could in a couple of years, but I'm pretty sure Steve Ross and I hate to put it on Steve Ross, but Greer and Flores are trying to save their jobs. Let's be real about it. And Steve Ross is just tired of gosh darn waiting to be good and being lost in the wilderness, as you wrote in your column. I love that reference because that's truly where we've been. You have officially reached the point where I was last Sunday. I'm just tired.
I've reached the point. It's like I took a circle over 3 years and I'm back to where I was, 3 years ago and 6 years ago and 9 years. I know the territory.
No, it's not a 3-year cycle. We do this every 4 years.
It's like when I heard last week that has Flores lost the team? Oh, we're into that. Okay. And clearly he hasn't lost the team. The team's still playing hard. Okay. Our next question comes from Sean. Do the Dolphins win a playoff game by adding Watson and keeping the same leadership?
That's a tough question because everything that's going wrong, I don't necessarily think it's quarterback related. Now, maybe next year with the same talent, Deshaun Watson, a fresh start can lead the team to the playoffs. Do elite quarterbacks make everybody better? I think they do. Yes. Now, but he won 4 games last year. Like,
I'm off that. Winning. I get it, but that's not how you judge young quarterbacks alone. That look at Seattle. Russell Wilson goes out and they are a mediocre to bad team. Okay. If you ever wondered what a great quarterback does to a team, if you weren't here in 2008 when Chad Pennington was here, if you weren't here for the Marino years, and 2016 when the right offense was with Ryan Tannehill and he took a step forward.
Hey, don't disrespect Matt Moore. Matt Moore took the team to the playoffs.
Okay.
He did.
Okay. All right.
Ryan Tannehill did not take
you have your
Matt
moment.
Moore did.
You will have your moment, Omar. Let me finish here. If you ever question what a great quarterback does, and when people says it's not all about the quarterback, okay, it's not, but it is. It is.
It is.
Okay. And you just look at Seattle with and without Russell Wilson and get back to me on that one.
Yeah, I agree with you from this standpoint. We've done everything but 2 things in this organization. One, the first is we've never reset the GM and the coach at the same time, except for 2008. That was the first time we did it.
Well, they kind of did last time in my canon.
Greer has been here. Greer has been here.
Okay. I'm not arguing you. I'm just saying they it was a soft reset. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm a hard, firm reset and piggybacking on your column from Sunday, which I didn't even know was such an issue, you might need to reset your scouting department.
Well, if the infrastructure needs to be examined there, and
Yeah, if you didn't read Dave Hyde's column from Sunday, it was a clear indictment that something is wrong with your West Coast scouting department. And if you look at all the players listed for us, Dave.
Whew. Well, I did it over a decade. So you go back, you start with Jonathan Martin in 2011 and Deion Jordan in 2012. Both had the similar problem for the Dolphins in that they didn't know the person. And as the scouting line is, if you don't know if you don't get the person right, you're not going to get the player right. Okay, those were huge, destructive draft picks. Okay, yeah. beyond just football alone.
Yeah, Jonathan Martin destroyed a team.
Yeah, the Bullygate thing and all that stuff. Okay, we don't need to go into nuts and bolts of that. But so there was that. Then there was a list. I think they have taken 8 draft picks between the 2nd and 5th round out west. And really, the only guy that Will Davis.
Will Davis.
Yeah, I mean, it goes on, but they really got production out of one of them, which is Jay for a season. I mean, when they drafted, everybody knew his knees were bad, and at some point, but so they had Jay. There's the tackle for Green Bay. I'm drawing
Billy Turner.
Billy Turner, who's gone on to have a good career. He just didn't have it here. But then you get into the Josh Rosen trade, a UCLA guy who the Dolphins liked out of the draft. You get into 2020, Austin Jackson. You get into 2021, not really understanding, obviously, who Justin Herbert was. I mean, something is – and it's not just one guy. How it goes, there's a region scout, brings in a cross-checker, the national scout, then the GMs. It's a whole process there, but something is wrong inside the Dolphins. That was the gist of it.
Michael has a serious question. If Deshaun Watson is willing to quit on Houston and force his way out to Miami because he's angry at how the Texans ran the team into the ground, what happens in 2 to 3 years when he's in the same situation in Miami with this front office?
Well, I mean, it's a valid question in the sense that if he wants out of Houston, if it's for football issues, well, welcome to the Dolphins, my friend. I mean, the whisper out of Houston is more than that. Okay, I'm not going to get into it because I don't know. I don't know what's true out of Houston. That's the problem. Okay, but the whisper is something more serious than just football stuff, and has nothing to do with his massage allegations and all that. So, but that's a valid question. If he wants out, will he want out here?
Here's the thing. I'll bring up 2 things. Before the massage saga, Deshaun Watson was viewed as a choir boy, a marquee player for the league. I'm not sure he'll ever get back there, but Big Ben repaired his image. Deshaun Watson can too.
Kobe Bryant? Come on.
Kobe Bryant. Yep.
I mean, Michael Vick. I mean, different issues, obviously, but that part of it will take care of itself if he throws touchdowns.
But what does trouble me is what he's doing to the Dolphins and to Tua's team is much like a predator. He is being a predator. The Dolphins are in a relationship. He doesn't care. And understand, and I'll say this on X and Omar, and I won't repeat this anywhere. Understand that. Huh?
Just here. I'm curious now.
Here. Okay. Oh, this is something. This is pretty hot. This has been told to me, and I do believe there's a lot of merit to it. Understand that Tua's agent and Deshaun Watson's agent, they're both quarterback agents. Not everybody is a quarterback agent. Okay? They go to war with each other about quarterback prospects, and they attack each other and discredit each other trying to land said quarterback prospects. Every year there's just a batch of quarterback prospects, and generally they end up with Tua's agent or Deshaun Watson's agent. Now, why would Tua's agent be friendly or not take this personal that he's trying, an agent of Deshaun Watson is basically trying to steal Tua's team? Like, this comes off quite personal. And it's a little bit unhealthy. I mean, we all know that this is unhealthy, correct? And they're not shy about it. They're not shy about it. Like, we want to be with the Dolphins. Like, and great spot for the Dolphins to be in.
Is it?
If there weren't 22 women,
but there are. I mean,
okay, but before,
like, if they made that field goal, but they didn't. If there weren't 22,
okay, let me ask you this question, Dave. If he did not have these sexual assault, massage allegations on him right now, and he said, "I want to be with the Miami Dolphins," you say what?
I wrote the column last February, I believe. Get Deshaun Watson in a second, in a heartbeat. Okay, but that whole situation changed overnight when all of a sudden, well, not overnight, because they kept trickling and went from 1 to 6 to 8 to 11 to now we're at 22 and 10 criminal investigation. Okay, there's
yeah.
So this is the situation now. But if you took that away, I wrote the column. Get Deshaun. Yeah. He's everything you hope Tua becomes.
I said the same thing. 4 first-round picks. Who cares? What difference does it make? Look what you've done with your first-round picks already. Like you act like you're going to miss them. You're not. You don't use them very well. So, and for an elite quarterback, he's worth it. Now, we don't know what Tua's going to be. And I don't know if he's going to be an elite quarterback. I believe he's going to be an elite quarterback, but I just don't think – I don't have the time nor the tolerance to wait for it anymore. I'm done. I'm an angry, disappointed Dolphin fan. And here's the thing. This Buffalo game is very important because you're going to be staring up at them for the next decade unless you get Deshaun Watson or Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion. Like we see right now, Josh Allen is that dude. And the Buffalo Bills are well built. And, you know, maybe losing Dable will Ken Dorsey, the quarterback coach, maybe that waters them down a little bit. But, dude, do you feel comfortable if you're Steve Ross staring up at Buffalo for the next decade? If you're alive to see that for the next decade?
Probably about as comfortable as realizing that you could have had Josh Allen easier than the Bills, and you said, we don't like his accuracy. We don't like his accuracy.
Or Justin Herbert. Let's not. Yeah. Anyway, let's keep it moving. Let's not go. I like Tua. Let's put that out.
It's a sinkhole. It's a sinkhole to go down in that quarterback debate, Omar.
Yeah. Here we are again facing the new kings of the AFC East, the Buffalo Bills. The way the Kansas City Chiefs have taken a step back, they seem to be the cream of the crop in the entire AFC. The Dolphins spent 2 decades looking up at New England, only winning the AFC East championship once in 2008, and that happened to be the season that Tom Brady suffered a season-ending knee injury. Every other year, Miami was on the outside looking in, and based on how the Bills are built and playing and how they have dominated you for Josh Allen's entire career, I believe you've only produced 1 victory against Josh Allen. It's hard to think that 35-0 beatdowns aren't in your future and won't happen on Sunday. I'm curious, Dave, should Miami expect to be bullied again, or is this the Dolphins' chance to extract some revenge?
Look, this is the NFL. And every week there's some team that you don't expect to win that wins. Look at, I mean, Detroit, again, they've come within a couple points. They gave the Rams a great game on Sunday. So I would expect, they're going to have chances to win on Sunday. That's just the nature of the NFL. Now, I wouldn't pick them to win because look what we've seen over the course.
You're not dumb.
Yeah. But will they have a chance? Will they have their chances? Could it be close? Yes, it could be close. That's the nature of the NFL.
We haven't seen a close game against Josh Allen yet, except for the game where they won because Charles Clay dropped it in the end zone.
Well, there was 31-28. That was the one in the last 3 years.
Gil has a good one, and this is we're going to take some X's and Omar overtime questions. So if you have a question, I'll put it in the chat, and I'll go in there and find it, and we will address some of the questions. Gil's got a good one. What do you think the general game plan against the Bills should look like to avoid being blown out of the water again this week, Dave?
Well, I tell you what it shouldn't look like, which was how it started last time, where you weren't ready for their pressure. Okay, you better be ready for their pressure on the offense, on how you're going to pick it up, what your hot reads are, whatever. You got to take care of your business. Take care of your business. The other thing on offense, enough of the dink and dunk. Okay, they have shown when they throw the dink and dunk offense.
No. So enough of the dink and dunk. What are you actually going to do if you
do
don't
what you did? Do what you've done with Brissett at the end of the games, with Tua at the end of games. When you throw the ball down the field, whether it's an up-tempo offense or what, you are having success. Okay, so I want to see the ball. I want to see Waddle run a downfield pattern. I want to see the ball go downfield in a way, not every play, but certainly once in a while. Okay, so that's simple.
It's very interesting to look at the Dolphins, and they have dominated teams in the first quarter. They have a 48-26 edge in the first quarter. Then we get to the second quarter where clearly they dial it down. They are outscored 64-9 in the second quarter of games. Then we get to the third quarter. Doubled again, 41-21. They're outscored. Then we get to the fourth quarter, 70-46. Now, clearly, the game plan coming out of the first half, starting the game, and then when adjustments happen is when they basically fizzle. I would say come into it with two game plans and use the second one in the second quarter, because clearly what you're doing is not working. In terms of game plans, for me, it's with Josh Allen. I think it's important to play a spy on Josh Allen. Who that'll be, who knows, especially Jerome Baker's done it previously. Jerome Baker's now battling a knee injury, probably will not play. I'm curious to see if he practices the rest of this week. And then the other thing is, double Stephon Diggs. I know Xavier Howard wants to take that assignment, but there are three very talented wide receivers. Stop having Xavier shadow people. Put Stephon Diggs moves all along the field, tries to create mismatch, tries to create breakdowns. If you don't have Xavier moving so much and people are in their standard positions and standard places, maybe you'll have less breakdowns. That's just me thinking out loud.
Okay, Omar, I'm going to go right to the next question because this is directed at you and not me. Olive Grove John said, you said on another show you don't care anymore. Omar, what can the Dolphins do? What can they do, Omar, to make you care again?
This is a never-ending 4-year cycle, Dave, that we just continue to be on. And
Groundhog Day. Sometimes it's a 1-year cycle.
Yeah. No, 2007 it was a 1-year cycle. And we thought and had the belief and conviction that things were going great, didn't we, Dave? Until
this year, yeah. I mean, but this was really the telltale year, right? All the draft picks were going to step up. This was your team from the draft picks and the rebuild.
It sucks, and I can't blame it on the quarterback. I can't fully blame it on the offensive line because that's another area that's improved with Tua. They've only allowed 1 sack in the past 2 games. They've run for 100 yards in both of those games. No, I think only 1 game. There is improvement being happening, but my concern with this organization is I don't think Flores' coaching staff is good enough. And knowing Flores' reputation that's out there, I don't think he can get a better coaching staff. So what are we doing? And here we are with Chris Greer. Nice man, but you've been here for 20 years. And I even like your assistant GM. I like Reggie McKenzie. I think you've got quality people on your staff. Why are you sucking so much in free agency and in the draft? That clearly is an indicator that you need to make change. And we are, as much as I like Tua, we're in the wilderness with quarterbacks. And I think I'm of the opinion, and probably you've hammered this into my head, Dave, if you don't have an elite quarterback, you don't have a chance. And that's just the reality of how this league works. And you either go get an elite quarterback, which I have no confidence that they can get, develop an elite quarterback, which I have no confidence that they can develop, or an elite quarterback falls into your lap, which is Deshaun Watson.
They cannot identify an elite quarterback until he's elite, until you or I could. Okay, Deshaun Watson, I see that. But coming out of the drafts plural.
Yeah, because he wasn't selected high.
That's a whole different dart throw for team. And I think only a handful of teams can recognize quarterbacks. So what do they got to do, Omar? What do they have to do? Start all over? Is that what you're saying? To get you back?
Yes. And start all over and do it with somebody that I have confidence. If you and I hate to say this, but if you hire Brian Daboll, I believe I buy in. I think he's a hot coach. I think he should have been a head coach last time. I know he's Flores' friend.
Does Josh Allen come with him?
Nah, he just signed a big mega contract. So no, unfortunately.
The number one most important person for any rebuilding franchise is the GM. It's the guy who's picking the players. The coach, that's fine. I get it. The important
I disagree with you. It's the quarterback.
But the GM is, who's picking the quarterback?
The GM.
That's why the GM's the most important guy.
Okay. I make Aaron Rodgers my GM. And
why would Aaron Rodgers come here? I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. And I don't think they're going to be making changes, so it's going to be interesting to see where we are from there. Let's get into some overtime questions. One was asked, so Tua's agents set up Deshaun. No, that's not the question. There was, okay, Dave, let's go to prediction, and let me see if I can find the questions.
All right, prediction time. I mean, you just have to be obvious here, right? The Bills, I predict the Bills 34-21. Rich Stadium on the road. Josh Allen is won his last 5 games. It might have gone beyond that, but really I didn't count when he was a rookie. He didn't even play great the last time. 17 for 33, 179 yards. But over the last 3 seasons, 5 meetings, he's 11 touchdowns, 1 interception. You know how Tom Brady said the Dolphins from 2000 to 2005, he played some of his worst games. Well, it's reversed that for Josh Allen. He's played some of his best games against the Dolphins, it seems.
Yeah, I think Brian Daboll has Brian Flores' number. I think he knows Tua intimately. He knows what bothers Tua from his time in Alabama. And I have to think that they're going to be sending the house at Miami. And I don't have confidence that the Dolphins could have any answers. So I'm going 30-21 Buffalo. This is the worst opponent that you could possibly face in this week, because it's going to send you spiraling into panic.
You mean a good team? They played 2. I get they've been competitive and they should have won either or both of those games last 2 weeks, but those weren't 2 good teams. Now they're coming against an elite team, and so we'll see. They're going to have their chances. Look, they had them in the 35-0 loss too. Remember, it was 14. It was a close game. They were driving, and Jakeem Grant fumbled at the 9 or something like that.
Yeah, you have 4 opportunities in scoring territory, and you botched all of them. Here's some of the X's on our question. Alex Gomez asks, if you had to guess, why is there a disconnect between Tua and his teammates? Since I said there was a disconnect, I believe that the Deshaun Watson overtures, players want to win. And if you ask any player, past or present in the NFL, what is the biggest determiner whether or not you have a good team or not, they'll all say, 99% of them will say the quarterback. And they know when they have an elite quarterback, they have a chance. Players have watched Tua long enough to know that he struggles throwing outside the numbers, that he will forever run a dink and dunk offense, and that's just not good enough for them.
Yeah, this is surprising to me because from the time Tua's been in here, I've liked listening to him. I love it. He presents himself well, mature, some interesting thoughts when he wants to be. And that's just the nature of
he's done everything right.
Interviews. And he's handled this whole Deshaun Watson thing as well as possible. But let's go back to the start. And I there's a disconnect here. When Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith were asked who they liked, Mac Jones or Tua, they both answered Mac Jones. Now, a lot of people in Tua's camp, the fans said, well, he's just saying that to help Mac Jones draft status. Maybe, but maybe they were being honest too. Okay, now when you move forward to the captain vote, and again, I don't care who's captain of the Dolphins. I could care less, and most of the players could care less too. Okay, but he's the only NFL quarterback not elected captain. Okay, which is, I don't care, but there's breadcrumbs being dropped.
Yeah. I don't understand.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't either. I don't either. I think a lot of maybe it has something to do with how he got the team. He stole it from Ryan Fitzpatrick, and
which was ordained. That had to happen. But you're right. But you're right, Omar. You're right. You're right. That a lot. Look, Ryan Fitzpatrick, as we all know, I did a 180 on him. I thought just a journeyman. Then you listen to him. He's very popular. So you're right. It was almost the best quarterback to be a tutor to his first. It was the worst quarterback for him too.
And I think that maybe these are just theories because I don't understand it either. I talk to players confidently, and they're not Tua fans, and I don't understand why. And and maybe because Fitz was like their daddy. Now Tua's like their stepdad. They feel like they can't love their stepdad because they had a dad. I don't understand it.
If he wins, they will love him.
But they know he's not putting them in bad situations. The one thing I hear is, we got to work too hard to score, and there's truth to that. There is truth to that.
What's some of that? The dink and dunk. Now, is that Tua? Is it is this strange offensive system of who's calling the plays? They the needle of who's calling the plays.
I don't know. Let's move on to our next question. Do you think that red wine and Duke Johnson helped the Dolphins get better? That's
so far down the totem pole on my things of getting better.
I agree with you. I think Duke Johnson is a way more accomplished running back than anything Myles Gaskin and Ahmed Salvan have done.
But he's similar. He's a similar idea.
Yeah, he is a similar back. Now, if you would have added Le'Veon Bell, I would have said, maybe, but yes, he's a similar back, which just blows my mind how you keep adding scout backs and then wondering why you can't convert a 4th and 1.
Look, you have a small quarterback. You have a small running back tandem. You have a small receiver if your big receivers are always hurt. And you wonder why they're not a more physical team. I mean,
I don't know. Yes, the black eye is for you Dolphin fans. You've been beaten up. You're going to get beaten up by the Bills. Boom. Yeah. Well, Dave, I appreciate you being there, being here. I appreciate you and the costume. We keep the X's and Omar tradition going. Yes, Dolphin fans, I do own a Dan Marino jersey. I have owned this since I was 15.
How did you get that jersey, Omar? I was curious when you showed up.
How did I get this jersey? This jersey's always been in my closet since I've been 15 years old. I worked my first job at the Miami Herald. I made $70 a week. The first thing I bought with my $70 paycheck is I went to a sporting goods store and I bought myself my first ever NFL jersey, a Dan Marino jersey. So for all those Dolphin fans who think I hate the team and that I'm always critical, I'm critical for you because I hold this team accountable to you as fans because you deserve better. You truly do. Think about a guy working for 2 weeks. I worked to save up $70 to go buy a jersey, Dave.
That's impressive, Omar. Also, if I was your parent at the time, I'd say, let's sit down and talk about this. Because
yeah. Oh, yes, and I do represent the old school. This jersey's.
It still fits, too. Did that fit you at 15?
Think about it. We were wearing big and baggy clothes, so it was like draped on me back then. Now it just fits. All right. X's and Omar can be found on any way you find your podcast, Apple, Spotify. We will reproduce them in segments here on the Sun Sentinel's website. And for you European fans, one day I will fix this issue for you. You can find X's and Omar's on YouTube, which is the only place you'll ever be able to look at it. But we thank you for coming. We thank you for watching. No, I would not be a good GM because Tua would have been my selection. I would have turned my nose up at Herbert. So I'm looking at the questions here. But thank you guys for watching live. Thank you for joining us. And see you next Wednesday, where we'll dissect the Dolphins game against Buffalo.